All right, let's talk about some verb issues that people sometimes have. I want to make sure that you're using your verbs correctly. The first one is about questions. When you ask a question, often you need to flip the verb with the subject, and sometimes people don't do that. Let me give you an example. The question, where should we drive, is based on the statement, we should drive. So when you turn we should drive into a question, we reverse we and should. It goes from we should to should we. Where should we drive? That's the correct way to ask that question. You don't want to say where we should drive. That's wrong. Flip those around. Where should we drive? The verb comes first and then the subject, we. Another example, what should we eat? We should eat is the statement. We should eat sushi, for instance. But as a question, you want to flip it. Should we? What should we eat? Where should we eat? Should we eat? Okay, so that's part one, questions. Second thing I want to talk about is past tense. You know what I mean by that, right? I walked, I ate, I drove. Often with past tense, the way to make a verb past tense is to add a D to it or to add an ED to it. That's a regular rule. For instance, to make walk past tense, you add ED. I walked. Or to make spot past tense, as in I spot someone, I spot you, you would say I spotted you. You add an ED to it. Sometimes people forget to add that D and they say I walk here yesterday, and that's no good. You have to say I walked here. Add the ED onto the word walk. I spotted someone familiar. So make sure that you add the ED to the verbs when that's the correct way to conjugate them. Obviously, not all verbs are like that. Like I drove is the past tense for drive. It's not I drived, it's I drove. But those are irregular exceptions that you'll need to learn if you haven't already. Make sure you know the regular verbs and you know to always put the ED onto them.